Welcome to the Jayda InStitches show! Grab your hooks, grab your yarn, and let's stitch it up together!
Hey everybody, welcome to the Jayda InStitches show. Last week we made these cute fingerless gloves in the Falling Leaves stitch pattern. The Falling Leaves stitch pattern is the April stitch in this year's calendar blanket, the Victorian Stitch Sampler. So this week we thought we would make it a set and create an ear warmer or a headband using the same stitch. Today's tutorial is going to give you directions to make this for an adult or a child. This is a customizable pattern, so technically you can make this little ear warmer to fit any sized head. You want to get the circumference measurement of the head you want to make it for. If you don't have the head available that you want to make this ear warmer for, we do have a standard head size chart available for use over on our website. It's on the Tools page, and if you click on the Tools page, once you get to our website, you'll find it when you scroll down a little bit. There's a whole bunch of handy little tips and tricks and charts on that page. The link to our website will be in the description box down below, along with links to the matching fingerless gloves and also the April stitch for the Victorian Stitch Sampler. So let's grab our hooks, grab our yarn, head on over to the craft table, and we will stitch up a very stylish ear warmer in the Falling Leaves stitch together. Please visit our shop and purchase a pattern. It helps support our show, and we'll put a link to our shop in the description box down below. In order to make our Falling Leaves headband, you want between 60 and 75 grams of a medium worsted size 4 yarn. A DK weight is fine for this project too. It's a little thinner than a standard medium weight in the West. I'm using wool, but you can use cotton or acrylic, whatever you'd like for this project. You need a pair of scissors, a yarn needle. You might find a little measuring tape to be handy for this project. And today's hook is a 4.5 millimeter or a 7 in the US, also known as a 7 in the UK. Once you've got all that together, we can get started. Take a moment and measure the circumference of your head or the head you're making it for. We want to begin with a slip knot, and this pattern can be worked over a foundation chain row that is any multiple of 3 chains. If you're making this for a child, I recommend beginning with a chained length of 63. If you're making it for an adult woman, begin with a chained length of 84. And from there, you can add sets of 3 chains or remove sets of 3 chains to get the fit that is custom. Because all of our yarn is slightly different thicknesses and our stitch tensions are all a little bit different, this is why I'm giving you the option to create a custom fit for this headband. You don't want a headband that is too tight or too loose. So once you've chained the beginning chain, so like I said, 84 chains for an adult woman or 63 for a child, you want to lay it out against your measuring tape, and slightly stretched, it should measure comfortably the circumference of your head. So I'm about 22 inches or 56 centimeters all the way around. And 84 chains is enough for me. The other way you can do this is to wrap your foundation chain around your head over your ears so that the points meet together. And if it's not too tight or too loose, then that's a good place to start. But we're going to start with row 1, and then we're going to check our gauge, and this way you can make sure you get a nice custom fit for this particular headband pattern. We're going to take care not to twist our foundation chain row. So take a moment and just run your thumb and forefinger across it, making sure that all of the little twists and turns that may have shown up are spun out. Then we're going to join with a slip stitch to that first chain we made so that you have a big ring to work into. So you should have something like this. And if you pull this on over your head and over your ears, it should be not too tight, but kind of snug. This is row 1. We're going to chain 1 to begin. Every row begins with a chain 1. And you're going to single crochet into the very same stitch that you joined in and chained 1 out of. And we're going to work 2 double crochets into the same chain. So into that same chain that you joined and chained 1 out of. And this little single crochet, 2 double crochet is the little leaf. And that's the easy way to count this. You're going to count little leaf motifs as we go. Skip 2 chains, find the third, you're going to work a single crochet and 2 double crochets into that chain. And that is the pattern for actually every row, but certainly for row 1. You're going to make a little leaf into every 3rd chain all the way around. So that's skip 2 chains, 1, 2, find the 3rd, and work a single crochet and 2 double crochets into that same chain. Remember to not twist your foundation chain row, so work slowly if you have to, and I'll catch back up with you at the beginning. At the end of row 1, you're going to finish your last little leaf motif, which is a single crochet, 2 double crochets worked into the same chain. Skip 2, that should bring you back to your first leaf motif. Find that single crochet you began with and join with a slip stitch to the top of it. Pull up on your hook, try on your headband. If it feels a little on the loose side, you're going to want to take out your first row and subtract a set of 3 chains. If it feels really loose, then take out 6 chains. If it's really tight, then take out your first row and add 3 or 6 chains and then start over. This is how you get a nice custom fit. If it's a little on the snug side, that's good because this is going to stretch out over time. So take a moment and try it on. Once you've settled on a number of chains and therefore little leaf motifs that fits comfortably, this is how you count them. So the easiest way is to know how many chains were in your foundation chain row. You'll have the exact same number of stitches in each row all the way through. If you're going to count little leaf motifs, you take the number of chains in your foundation chain row, so for example 84 is my foundation chain row, and divide it by 3. That gives me 28. So I should have 28 little leaf motifs all the way around, or 84 stitches, a single, double, double, single, double, double, all the way around. So you can either count your individual stitches or count your leaf motifs, and that is an easy way to make sure you're still on track. Row 2, we're going to chain 1, and into the same stitch that we joined in and chained 1 out of, you're going to work your first leaf motif. Single crochet and 2 double crochets all into that same stitch. And the first little leaf motif of every row can be a little on the tight side because you're trying to work directly beneath the chain you made. So if it feels a little tight, that's perfectly normal. Skip 2 stitches. Those should both be double crochet from the previous row. Find the 3rd one. That should always be a single crochet from the previous row, and work single crochet, 2 double crochets into that little stitch. So the leaf motif is single crochet, 2 double crochet worked into the same stitch. And that's all you're going to do all the way around for every row after. Skip 2 stitches, find the 3rd. It should always be a single crochet from the previous row, and work a leaf motif into it. You can continue that all the way around, and I'll catch up with you at the end of row 2. At the end of row 2 and every row, after you've worked your last leaf motif, skip over the next 2 stitches. That should bring you back to the first leaf motif of that row. Find the single crochet and join with a slip stitch. Every row is exactly the same hereafter. You chain 1 to begin, work the first leaf motif into the same stitch that you joined in, which is a single crochet and 2 double crochets, all worked into the same stitch. Skip 2 stitches, find the 3rd stitch. It will always be a single crochet from the previous row, so that one right there, and continue working your little leaf motif pattern. You're going to work this pattern for 6 rows in total for a child, or 8 rows in total for an adult. So I'll see you at the end of row 6 for a child, or row 8 for an adult. At the end of row 6 or row 8, make sure you join with a slip stitch to that first single crochet in the row, and you can fasten off. You can take a moment to grab your yarn needle and weave in that tail across the backs of some of the stitches in that last row. Make sure you go back and forth a couple times just to make sure that it doesn't unravel. Now we're just going to finish off the underside of our headband. So this is for child or adult. You're going to take your yarn, make a slip knot, and you're going to join it on the underside of any single crochet from that foundation chain row. So you see I'm looking at the underside of the foundation chain row. You can tell which stitch that would be because all of those stitches would be worked into the same chain. So we pick any one of those. You're going to join with a single crochet. And you're going to work 2 double crochets into that same chain. And then you're just going to repeat the same little pattern running along the underside. So you're going to skip 2 chains, find the third. It should be the chain that all of those stitches are worked into from row 1. And you're going to work a little leaf motif into it. Single crochet, 2 double crochet, and you're going to work that all the way around. And this is just a nice little tidy way to finish off the underside of our headband. At the end of that little edging row, once you're back around to the beginning, join with a slip stitch to the top of that first single crochet, snip your yarn, fasten off, and same thing, take a moment to weave in any little short tails that may be still hanging out of your work, just to make sure everything looks nice and tidy and nothing wants to unravel. Now we're going to make a little centerpiece. We're going to start with a slip knot. This is so we can create a little bow in the center of our headband and it doesn't sort of sit low over our eyes. If you're making it for a child, you're going to chain 7. If you're making it for an adult, you're going to chain 9. Once you've chained 7 or 9, skip the first stitch, find the second. You're going to half double crochet 3 times into the second chain from the hook. So 3 half double crochets into that. Might be a little tight, so just take your time. Now you're going to half double crochet in each chain all the way to the end, so right to the second last chain. When we get to the last chain, we're going to do something a little different. Once you've half double crocheted in each chain all the way to the end, in the last chain you're going to work 3 half double crochet, and this is going to turn us around so that we're working up the underside of that little foundation chain row. You're going to work a half double crochet into each of the chains, so the undersides of those half double crochets running all the way back. So half double crochet in each stitch or each underside chain all the way back to the beginning. You're going to basically have a neat and tidy little strip of fabric. Once you're back at the beginning, find that first half double crochet that you made and you're going to slip stitch to the top of it. And that's it. It should be very short. You're going to cram a lot into this. Snip yourself a decent length of yarn because you're going to do a little sewing with it. Fasten off. And now you can take your headband, and if you look all the way around it, there might be a spot where you feel like you kind of want to hide it. Maybe it looks like the front or the back. If not, just grab any old spot you like, and you're going to pinch it together just so you've sort of evenly squished it. You're going to take that little tiny piece of fabric you made and wrap it around it. And it's going to be pretty tight, but that's the whole idea. It'll stretch a bit. You're going to thread up that long tail you left on your little yarn needle. Find the 2 rounded ends of that piece. So I know it's all the same color here, but there's one rounded end. Here's the other one next to my thumb. And through those 3 turning half double crochets on either end of that little tiny piece of fabric, you're going to just sew through each set of those 3 little stitches. Try not to get the headband in there. It's not the end of the world if you do. And then you're going to just sort of sew through each set back and forth 2, maybe 3 times, just so you know that it's nice and secure. So I've gone back and forth twice. That feels pretty secure to me. I'll do one more in the center. And now I'm going to just create a tiny little knot. Tiny, tiny, tiny little knot. Nice and tight. And I'm going to weave my tail in through some of those half double crochets. Oops. There we go. Back and forth a couple times, just so I know that it's not going to unravel on me. There we go, that's 3 times. Trim the excess. And you can flip your headband right side out. Or if you like the other side, whichever side you like, you just want to make sure you spin that little seam so that it's on the back. And there you go, a matching little headband for our falling leaves fingerless gloves in such a sweet and tender little stitch. I just love how that looks. And now you're all set to get out and enjoy some of this lovely autumn weather. This is also a really great set if winter doesn't get terribly cold where you live. And if you haven't started your holiday gift making yet, you might want to consider this whole thing for somebody. Just saying. I hope you enjoyed making this ear warmer along with us this week, and we will see you guys here soon on the Jayda InStitches show. Until then, stay safe, stay crafty, have an awesome week, everybody. Bye!